That photo is the last thing that anybody will see of her alive. I started getting these texts. Have you seen this?
A police scanner had lit up.
They were talking about a girl who was found on Valley Road.
The marks on the throat, the bruising, they were consistent with homicide.
Without a confession, the investigation could go on for months, even years.
When the case broke, it broke big and fast.
When the story starts to change, that's a pretty good indicator that someone's lying.
Here's your key piece of evidence, and it's in a picture on Facebook.
I was in shock. Like, where did this plot twist come from?
March 2015, Saskatoon, Canada. A picturesque town straddling the Saskatchewan River. 18-year-old Britney Gargol is a senior in high school with a bright future.
I met Britney in 8th grade. We were in gym class and we had to be partners and we played dodgeball, and after that we found out that we lived 5 blocks away from each other and we would always hang out.
I just thought she was kind of bubbly and hyper and very friendly and outgoing person. And I like that about her.
Me and Britney loved to do our hair, makeup. Every night she'd knock on my window and we would sit outside and talk, and she'd bring pizza and Slurpees. She treated me like a sister. If I didn't have money for anything, she would hand it to me. If she didn't have anything, I'd give it to her. She was just somebody to lean on.
Britney also impresses her friends with an unusual level of responsibility for her age.
She was 17, she was working full-time, she was going to school full-time, and she had goals. She was definitely driven to get what she wanted. She wanted to build and own her own hotels. I knew right away that this girl was going to go places and do things.
Despite her sunny disposition, Britney had a difficult childhood. Her mother struggles with addiction, and she grew up not knowing her father.
Britney, growing up, she lived with her grandma. She was such a kind lady, made sure she always had what she needed. She definitely wanted a relationship with her mother, but she understood that there was circumstances that she couldn't change. Britney, she was doing really good, had her job, and doing everything that she needed to do. She seemed really great and that she was doing great in life.
On March 24th, 2015, just months before graduation, Britney makes plans to go out with 18-year-old Cheyenne Antoine, a good friend she's known since 9th grade.
Cheyenne, she just seemed like a quiet, nice girl when I did meet her. They would go for walks and hang out outside.
Britney and Cheyenne had developed a close bond because they both had difficult childhoods.
Cheyenne had this history where her folks had died. She was raised in the foster care system and then suffered sexual abuse.
Early in the evening, Britney and Cheyenne stopped by Atasha's house.
And I just lent Britney some gas money because she needed to get around. And then I told her to be careful, you know, if you need me, call me and I'll come pick you up or whatever. And she gave me a hug and that was it. That was my last interaction with her.
Just after midnight, Britney posts a selfie on social media with Cheyenne.
They're at her grandma's house getting ready and dressed up for their evening out. Britney was just, you know, I think she was just happy to get out and hang out with her friend. And Cheyenne looks like she's just ready to go party, and Britney just looks so relaxed and just ready for whatever life is bringing her.
Six hours later, at 6:02 a.m. on March 25th, Saskatoon Police Radio Dispatch sends out an alert.
That particular morning, I was already out at the scene of a shooting, and the police scanner lit up. And when they switch to their emergency channel, and when they talk about a female injured and or in distress, you knew it was serious right away. At that point, I bailed out of the scene I was at and drove out to that area. I had to go see with my own eyes while it was still a fresh scene.
A motorist spotted a young woman lying on the side of the road in a remote area near the Saskatoon landfill.
Initially, on an outdoor crime scene like that, you need to protect the scene as best you can to preserve evidence as soon as you get there.
The victim appears to be in her late teens or early 20s, has no shoes on, and her body is cold to the touch.
By the time I'd gone out there, they had set up a cordon already. I could only get to within about 100 meters of where the body was.
Paramedics try to resuscitate the unidentified victim and rush her to the hospital. But she's pronounced dead on arrival. Police immediately suspect foul play.
The signs that she was a victim of a homicide were pretty obvious. The marks on the throat, the bruising, and all the injuries that were consistent with homicide.
At the crime scene, investigators find several potential pieces of evidence: a leather jacket, a belt, and a woman's watch.
The fact that her body was found on the outskirts of town raised a lot of red flags for investigators. My first instincts were that it was like a sexual predator type murder.
There was no immediate suspect. There was no motive. There was nothing there. Because I've covered crimes like this in the past, I thought this was a body dump. If I've hurt somebody and want to dispose of their body, this is the first natural point where you would throw a body out of a vehicle, because you've just cleared the last neighborhood. Nobody's going to see you there. It seemed pretty clear to me, based on my experience, that this is not where the person had had the bad things done to them. So right away, you had a scene that was not the crime scene.
I think there's always that kind of concern about, is this an isolated incident? Is this random? The killer is on the loose. That's often where my mind goes when I start to get into an investigation and start to cover crime cases.
Hoping to identify the victim or get leads to the killer, investigators release photos of the items found at the scene. They also release pictures of the victim's distinctive tattoos.
I think I turned the TV on around 7:30, and I turned on the news. They were talking about a girl who was found on Valley Road, and I was like, wow, that's just right down the street from where I live. And they said that they're still trying to identify her.
I started getting these texts, have you seen this? And then I looked and I'm like, there was the jacket, the tattoo, the line, the 2 stars. And I'm like, oh my God, that's Britney. My heart sunk.
I literally dropped on my couch and started crying because I was like, this is no way. She was just here not even like 9 hours ago. And then I ended up calling the police station and I said, I know who it is. And they asked me to come down. I went down to the police station right away and did a statement, and I couldn't believe it still. Like, it was just unreal. Like, I almost couldn't fathom that it happened, but it happened and I couldn't stop crying. Those images, the jacket and the broken watch, I couldn't get those images out of my head because she was wearing those things when she left my house.
So they had the identification fairly quickly, but that's all they had.
Like, why? That was the last night of her life. That photo is the last thing that anybody will see of her alive.
Investigators key in on an unusual murder weapon.
That belt may well have made the marks on her throat that caused her death.
And focus on an unlikely suspect.
I was shocked because of who it was.
Regardless of how improbable or salacious a story, they have to take it apart.
And that's why a lot of us started thinking maybe, you know, this is going to be one of those unsolved mysteries.
Police in Saskatoon, Canada have learned that a murder victim found dumped on the side of the road is a local high school senior, Britney Gargol.
This was a young woman who didn't fit the image of someone you would expect to find dead on the edge of town. She wasn't living on the street. She had stuff together. She had jobs. She had a family. She had all of those things.
When detectives learn from Britney's family that she was active on social media, they delve into her accounts, looking for insights about her life and perhaps clues about what led to her death.
The police found the photo of Cheyenne and Britney together, the selfie on the Facebook page. It was the last photo of Britney Gargol.
They had a selfie posted of them on Facebook 6 hours before Britney's death.
Detectives also discover a heartbreaking Facebook post by Cheyenne, made hours after Britney's body was found.
She was posting on Britney's Facebook wall, "Where are you? Haven't heard from you. Hope you made it home safe."
Police want to talk with Cheyenne to learn what she can tell them about Britney's activities on the night before her body was discovered. They don't have to look far. Prompted by all the news stories about the murder, Cheyenne comes to them.
Cheyenne Antoine called police, and she told them what had happened the night before. And she basically said that she was with Britney, it was a party night, they went to a few bars. So there's a timeline starting to be created leading up to when Britney's body was found.
Cheyenne tells police that on March 24th, around midnight, she and Britney started partying at Manchester's pub. A couple hours later, Cheyenne says they went to a house party. And by 4 a.m., ended up at the Colonial Pub and Grill.
They apparently met a guy there. Britney asked him for a lighter, invited him along.
Cheyenne describes him as a white male, about 30 years old, but she doesn't know his name.
After that, Cheyenne said that she got dropped off to visit her uncle and that she didn't ever see Britney after that or had no idea where she went from there. And she actually gets her uncle on the phone to corroborate this story, and he, gives the same information.
As investigators begin trying to identify the mystery man Cheyenne says she last saw Britney with, on March 26th, the day after Britney was found by the side of the road, the results of her autopsy come in.
It was clear that Britney had not been sexually assaulted. She died of suffocation by ligature, basically strangled to death. From the patterns on her neck, it wasn't a rope or a shoelace, but it was something else that left unusual marks.
One of the items of clothing that was found alongside Britney's body was a belt. And the belt became a very interesting part of the case because they believed that the belt was the murder weapon.
That belt may well have made the marks on her throat of the ligature that caused her death.
Britney's family doesn't recognize the belt as belonging to her. Detectives send all of the items found near Britney's body to the crime lab for DNA testing. When the results of the DNA tests come in, they show traces of Britney's DNA on the belt, along with one other unidentified individual. One week after Britney's murder, family and friends attend her funeral. Despite the injuries she suffered, her family wants an open casket.
Walking in there was hard. Seeing all her high school friends. And we got to go up and say goodbye. And it was really hard because she didn't even look like Britney. Her face was, it was different. It was so swollen from the damage that you literally could not recognize her. It was really hard to say goodbye.
As Britney's friends mourn, detectives continue to follow up on the information provided by Britney's friend Cheyenne. They visit the bars she says the pair went to, hoping to find surveillance video of the man Cheyenne says she saw with Britney.
Everything you do is on camera now. And it's such a big part of homicide investigations now.
The bars do have security systems. And the footage confirms that the girls pulled into the parking lot at the first bar, Manchester's Pub, at midnight, just as Cheyenne reported. Then, investigators move on to the final bar Cheyenne says they visited that night.
Cheyenne told the police that Britney left in the early morning hours with a male individual from the Colonial Pub and Grill. The story was that she left with a male acquaintance. The police, of course, checked the surveillance videos from those two pubs.
But when police scour the video from the Colonial, it tells a very different story from the one they heard from Cheyenne.
They don't see any sign of Cheyenne and Britney.
When Cheyenne said they were at the Colonial Pub and Grill and that Britney left with another male, police knew that wasn't true when they watched the surveillance videos, and that simply did not happen. They were not there.
Police hunting for the killer of 18-year-old Britney Gargol are reviewing hours of surveillance video from the last bar she is thought to have visited on the night of her murder. But they can find no images of either Britney, her friend Cheyenne, or the man with whom Cheyenne says she left the bar.
Well, geez, they don't turn up on any other surveillance video. That really threw people.
Police are now very suspicious of this narrative they've been given.
And what they did is start going through Cheyenne's story and looking for inconsistencies.
That includes taking another look at Cheyenne's claim that Britney and the man she met at the Colonial Pub gave her a ride and dropped her off to visit her uncle around 4 a.m. on March 25th. A story her uncle corroborated. So detectives obtained the security footage from the assisted living facility where Cheyenne's uncle lives.
They examined those surveillance videos, and that was not true either. So her story was starting to fall apart.
So then they go talk to her uncle.
And he cracks. And he basically says, yeah, my niece made me make it up because the real story she gave me was a lot more intense. And he's going, I don't know if this happened. This is just what she told me. Cheyenne had told her uncle they were out at the bar that night and that they essentially went back to a motel room with what she described as 2 black men. And she told her uncle that they got into some kind of argument over cocaine. Cheyenne goes to the bathroom. When she comes back out, Britney's on a bed. She has marks on her neck. And she's apparently dead. And one of these guys holds a gun to her head and basically tells her, you have to help me get rid of her.
And then she went to her uncle's house.
Detectives are immediately skeptical of the story Cheyenne's uncle claims she told him.
I think what's problematic for the police is, regardless of how improbable or salacious a story Cheyenne Antoine is offering, they have to take it apart and dismiss it to their satisfaction.
You have to investigate it. You have no choice.
That's the definition of what a police investigation is. You have to be able to say, you know, actually, we did check this out. We looked at the video, and there were no black drug dealers at the Colonial or wherever the hell you were saying you were that night. It just doesn't add up.
Cheyenne's second story, 2 black fellows killed Britney, was thoroughly investigated, and that clearly did not happen either. That didn't make a lot of sense. Neither of those stories panned out. There was no evidence to support any of them.
Cheyenne's inconsistencies and outright lies earn her another interrogation. On May 5th, 5 weeks after Britney's murder, detectives interview her again. But this time, they meet at the Saskatoon jail. Because Cheyenne has recently been arrested for shoplifting.
She was not willing to share anything with the police. She wouldn't talk about that evening at all. That made it difficult. But with her various stories, and her various stories not checking out, it became obvious that she was a suspect.
I just looked at my partner looked at me, and we both were like, she was in our home a couple times. Like, what happened? Where did this plot twist come from?
Despite her conflicting stories, investigators have no evidence connecting Cheyenne to Britney's murder, and no obvious motive for her to have done it.
Even though you strongly suspect a person of the crime,
You have to keep a clear mind and not get so laser focused on the person telling the falsehoods that you get basically tunnel vision and you miss a possible suspect.
Without any witnesses and no apparent motive, it was pretty clear this was going to be a tough case to crack.
Two months after Britney Gargol's murder, police have identified her friend Cheyenne Antoine as a suspect, based on the misinformation Cheyenne has told them about the last night of Britney's life. But they have no evidence yet to support those suspicions.
Police are very tight-lipped about investigations here. We do not know really anything other than what they want us to know in the investigation stage of something, and their reason is always because it's under investigation.
Everybody was getting very upset. They couldn't understand why is this taking so long? And that's why a lot of us started thinking, like, maybe, you know, this is going to be one of those unsolved mysteries.
What happened? Like, why does nobody know what happened? Like, this could happen to anybody else. It just drove me crazy.
Then, Britney's family receives a phone call from out of the blue. From someone who says they want to get something off their chest.
A relative of Cheyenne's, her auntie, admitted that the night that Britney died, Cheyenne had driven up and was in a panicky state.
It sounds like it was such a chaotic night. Cheyenne was drunk, and obviously good decisions weren't being made all around.
Cheyenne was drunk, crying, upset, saying she had strangled her friend Britney.
Britney's family immediately reports the call to the police. And investigators quickly track down Cheyenne's aunt. She confirms the story and breaks open the case.
And that was one of the big leads that police had been missing.
The aunt's damning story convinces investigators that they finally found Britney's killer. But there still isn't solid enough evidence for an arrest.
Anything the aunt said would have to be solidified by evidence.
With no physical proof that Cheyenne killed her friend, police are now hoping for a direct confession. But even when confronted with her aunt's story, Cheyenne continues to deny that she had anything to do with Britney's death.
It was really frustrating. Without a confession from the suspect, an investigation could go on for months, even years.
The fact that Cheyenne wouldn't give a statement to the police made it difficult. She wouldn't talk about that evening at all, other than the lies that we know that she told the police.
Under Canadian law, detectives need stronger evidence than the aunt's story to obtain a warrant for Cheyenne's arrest, or even a DNA test.
On how long it took, it felt ridiculous. But I understand at the same time, these are not things you find out overnight, and it takes quite a long time.
On September 10th, 2015, 6 months after the murder, Cheyenne posts on social media about how much she loves and misses her friend.
It presents like somebody who's really genuine and worried about their friend.
She posted that long paragraph about, I hope whoever he is, he's found. I knew there was something more to it, just didn't seem right.
Cheyenne's Facebook comment pours salt in the wounds of Britney's loved ones, and it also adds to law enforcement's suspicions of her.
It just must have been maddening for them, because they would know. We've got so much, but we don't have it all.
The case drops out of the headlines, and to those outside of the investigation, it appears to go cold.
I mean, nobody was talking. Everyone was kind of wondering what had happened with Britney Gargol's death.
The Saskatoon police kept a pretty close eye on Cheyenne. They knew where she was, they knew what she was doing. The police are very diligent investigating serious crime like this. They just don't stop.
As part of that effort, detectives decide to take a fresh look at all of the evidence they've collected. and they discover a small detail in their files that they now realize was previously overlooked.
And that's where the selfie picture comes into play. A very, very important picture.
When investigators re-examine their case file in the murder of Britney Gargol, they realize a key piece of evidence may have been hiding in plain sight. The selfie that Britney posted just hours before her death.
We had the photo of Cheyenne and Britney together 6 hours before she died. And if you look closely, tucked in the bottom corner of that photo, Cheyenne's wearing the belt they found at the scene.
It's this thick black braided belt. It's quite distinct. I mean, you wouldn't have thought anything about it if you had just regularly looked at that photo. It's not sinister, just presents like two smiling friends.
I think that was like an aha moment.
When the case broke, it broke big and fast.
Here's your key piece of evidence, and it's in a picture on Facebook. Doesn't get much better than that when you're trying to prosecute somebody for murder.
It's like playing poker where you turn the cards and the whole deck flips. They went from having nothing to having everything.
The discovery gives the detectives the evidence they need to order new DNA tests on the belt.
It has both the girls' DNA on it. It substantiates the theory that the belt was the murder weapon, that essentially Cheyenne used that belt to strangle Britney.
Now that they have the evidence they've been looking for, tying Cheyenne to Britney's murder, detectives bring her in for one more interview.
You should always attempt to get a confession. It lets them tell what happened in their own words, even though you investigated and you have a clear picture of what happened.
But Cheyenne still will not confess. In fact, she still refuses to talk at all.
Cheyenne was just shutting down at that point. Maybe it was weighing on her.
Despite her continued silence, police finally have enough to arrest Cheyenne for second-degree murder.
It was shock and happiness because we finally had some answers. So I was happy about the answers, but I was shocked because of who it was. We honestly thought it was just she lost her friend. And we all felt bad for her. Now it makes me angry. Don't know how she slipped through the cracks for so long. It was just shocking.
After her arrest, Cheyenne tells detectives she is finally ready to talk.
She basically said it was a party night. They had gone at least to a house party that had been corroborated, and lots of drugs and alcohol were being used that night. By all accounts, both women were intoxicated. They went to a few bars. She says that her last memory is at 4:30 in the morning of being in a McDonald's, and that she remembers, she didn't really use the term getting into a fight with, but Britney getting frustrated over something. She doesn't remember what happened after that, but she couldn't deny that she was the person that killed her friend.
Canadian Crown prosecutors face a unique challenge.
One of the frustrating things about her not really admitting what she did, there was no motive. She didn't offer a reason as to why she killed her friend.
It's one of those cases where we really didn't get an answer as to why this happened. And that has a lot to do with drugs. The fact that Cheyenne was so intoxicated that night that she can't remember killing someone, I think speaks volumes to the unanswered questions of this case. What could have made Cheyenne so angry in that moment that that's where her anger went?
So all of a sudden, this notion of culpability is a little more unclear. There's no clear motive. And the Crown, by law, is obligated to go through a checklist of factors to take into account. Her family circumstances, education, addictions, poverty, all of that.
Sometimes you just don't know what the motive is, and no one will ever tell you. It doesn't make sense why a person kills another person or commits a horrible crime against another person. And sometimes there is no motive. You're just evil.
Two years after the murder of Britney Gargol, her friend Cheyenne Antoine is charged with second-degree murder. Cheyenne claims that due to the drugs and alcohol she consumed, she has no memory of the night that Britney died. As her trial approaches, prosecutors believe they can prove Cheyenne killed Britney. But to maximize her sentence, they'll also have to prove she intended to murder her.
The fact that Cheyenne wouldn't admit what she did to the police made it difficult to prove criminal intent. Second-degree murder is a murder with full intent to kill. Manslaughter can have the reduced intent to kill. We accepted the plea of guilty to manslaughter on the basis that she was drunk at the time.
Cheyenne Antoine is sentenced to 7 years in prison. She is eligible for release in 2024.
Seven years actually is the ballpark for manslaughter sentence in Saskatchewan. And I've seen it as low as 2 years.
Still, Britney's loved ones are devastated.
She was a wonderful person whose life was cut short, and it's not fair. It's just not fair.
We thought it was bullshit. She was given so many chances. What more do you need to see that this person is not going to learn?
People have gone to jail a lot longer for killing their dog or cat. It does not make sense. Why is she getting a slap on the wrist? She's still young enough to go out there and live a full life, still have a family, build everything and anything that Britney will never have.
Britney's friends are in disbelief that Cheyenne could forget strangling her.
I think she knows and remembers, but is playing it off as, I was inebriated and I'm going to use that card. And I don't think that's fair either.
They also struggle with how long it took for police to connect the dots and make an arrest.
It felt ridiculous. We're not going to look at a picture and be like, oh, look, there's the murder weapon. But it was a little frustrating that the answer was right there.
The existence of the photo and why it took so long to really definitively connect that to Cheyenne, I still don't really quite know. But I think the numerous attempts to mislead police certainly did not make the investigation straightforward. They would have had to follow a lot of false leads, and that takes time and resources. And I mean, we don't have a huge police service here, so it's one of those things where I think they just had to eventually get the right things to crack, and that eventually happened.
The fact that it was a friend who took Britney's life is especially difficult for her loved ones. But they are determined that her memory will live on.
I miss her bubbly, happy, positive personality. I miss her quite often because I see her every day. I don't tear up every day, but I still, once in a while, I do get a little bit emotional thinking about back in the day with her, what she could have been now. I just feel saddened that she's missed out on her life.
I got to hang out with Britney 2 weeks prior to everything that happened to her. We got to sit in her car and catch up for a bit, talking about our lives and where we are and how we're so surprised how much we're growing.
Today was a sucky day, but at the same time, it makes me laugh so hard.
I know that if he was my boyfriend and was in love with me, I know he would be amazing. I cannot wait to see him.
I texted asking if she was okay, and she never texted back.
I asked her friends, acquaintances, anybody, if you have seen her, contact me. By 7 o'clock in the morning, I'm in full mode panic.
And then I told her, we need to go to Grand Rapids.
It was like time stood still. We knew something was wrong.
That's when I see blood. I'd yell at my girlfriend, call the cops, call the cops.
I opened the bag, and there were human limbs inside that bag.
I remember thinking, what kind of animal does this to a person?
31-year-old Ashley Young is pursuing her dream of becoming a language interpreter.
Ashley wanted to explore. She wanted to learn any culture. It didn't matter who you were, you know? She was gonna ask you questions and ask how your day was.
So let's talk about my morning and how amazing, and I promise none of this is exaggerated or made up. It is, you can't make this up, okay?
I always told her, you can do anything, you can be anything that you want. You just need to put your mind to it.
To make ends meet, Ashley works nights at a bank call center.
She loved that job. She was helping people with their accounts if they had questions, and she could put their mind to ease.
During the day, Ashley takes language classes at Kalamazoo Community College.
So anyways, have a good day. I really am gonna go get ready for class now, and sorry for talking a lot, but that's just me.
Ashley was positive, always positive. We called her Sunshine.
Today was a sucky day, but at the same time, it makes me laugh so hard.
Ashley was always on social media. She was the light, the conscience you never knew you really needed. And the times that you were frustrated, she put it in perspective for you. Like, you know, you could have it worse.
I hope I at least made you smile and made you realize that, you know, your day is probably going a hell of a lot better than mine.
I met Christine in 2002. Ashley and her mom were best buddies, and I had to be that step-parent. But we made it, you know. Ashley was just lovable and joyful.
I met Ashley the first day of 10th grade. We had a couple classes together, we had choir together. We'd sit in our car for hours just talking in her mom's driveway, listening to music, singing, and just being silly girls. And then after school, we're still inseparable.
After high school, Ashley puts her dreams of studying languages on hold. She works a series of jobs, and when she is 24 years old, she meets Moody Farran. The two quickly fall in love, and within a couple of years, are living together.
She had never really dated or been with anyone until Moody, and he was her first love. She adored him, and he adored her, and it was just like a little fairy tale.
Moody loved her, and he had already, gave her a promise ring. They were together almost 7 years.
But by 31, Ashley has decided to make big changes in her life. Not only is she in school working towards her dream job, but she also decides that it's time to end her long-time relationship.
She was trying to balance work and going to school, and they were both kind of just at a different point in their life.
After the breakup, on November 10th, 2018, she surprises her best friend Samantha with a trip to Detroit.
She took me to Detroit to go to a concert to go see Tosh Sultana, an artist that I love. That trip was amazing.
This is Facebook Live, by the way. Oh, wonderful. Oh, you look so pretty.
After our concert, we just talked about life, just talked about where we were both at that time, about her and Moody, and about how she was going to be moving out. She was nervous, but it gave her something to look forward to. When she brought me home, I didn't know that that was going to be the last time I ever saw her.
A week later, on November 18th, Ashley meets her mom, Christine, to begin packing up her things from the home she shares with Moody.
Her and Moody were moving out of their apartment, so we put everything into storage for her.
Ashley asks her mom to come with her at the end of the month when she'll sign the lease on a new apartment.
Ashley was beyond ecstatic about getting this apartment. Talking to her, you would have thought she was winning $1 million. You would have thought she was decorating a mansion, the way she would talk. And that was the last time I saw Ashley.
On Wednesday, November 28th, the night before Ashley is scheduled to sign her lease, she goes out for the evening. Ashley checks in with her mom, but does not say where she is headed or who she is meeting.
The last time I got a message from Ashley was at 5:55. And she said that she was almost to her destination. That's not Ashley. Ashley would say,
I'm at Walmart or
yeah, wherever she was, but she said destination.
The morning of the lease signing comes, and Christine does not hear from Ashley.
I sent her a message first thing in the morning. I'm like, where are you? Where are you? And all day. I'm not getting anything. There was something wrong. I called Ashley's work, but nobody has heard from her. And that's when it starts hitting me. Where is she? And it just snowballs from there. You're not answering. I am worried. You don't tell people where you are going. You don't have to tell me, but damn it, you need to tell someone. I need to know you're okay. You need to contact someone and let somebody know. November 30th in the morning, I called the police to file a missing persons report.
Officers talked to some people that were close to Ashley, to see if they knew where she was or could account for her whereabouts, and they could not. When we get a missing person report and the person happens to be 31 years old, that could mean a number of things. Maybe the person doesn't want to be found or is just away with friends and having a good time. So it's generally not assigned to a full-blown investigation at that point.
But Ashley's loved ones have a sinking feeling something is wrong. And they know that this is all happening in the wake of a big breakup.
When she broke up with Moody, I think, Moody didn't really want it.
When somebody goes missing, especially young women, a partner or a potential partner, somebody that they know and that they trust or that they're potentially intimate with, tends to be the person that might harm them.
As the day goes on and you're not hearing anything, panic starts to set in. So I called Moody and I asked him, where is she?
Investigators catch a glimpse of Ashley's final moments.
You can see him kind of turn around, he's pointing at something, he's talking to somebody, and then eventually Ashley joins him.
And race to determine who she was with.
He seemed to be a person prone to violence and unpredictable.
Before the unthinkable happens.
I tell the dispatcher, I need officers fast.
I see a lot of death. This one stands out in my career as a horrific scene.
31-year-old Ashley Young has not contacted her family in more than 24 hours.
At midnight, I'm flipping out a little bit. By 7 o'clock in the morning, I'm in full mode panic. And I remember I called my supervisor and I said, I'm not going to be in today. And she said, okay, is there anything I can do? The first words out of my mouth were pray. Just needed to pray.
Ashley's family is worried her disappearance might have something to do with her recent breakup with her boyfriend, Moody.
Prior to them actually breaking up, Ashley told me there had been a couple arguments and their relationship did hit a couple walls.
But Moody appears genuinely distraught about Ashley's disappearance.
He starts panicking because he don't know where Ashley is, and that's why he got with us in the middle of the night. Moody was right there with us, looking for her. And he was so hurt and so upset. Moody loved her, and I knew she loved him too.
When Moody provides police with information about his whereabouts for the past several days, he is cleared by law enforcement. Christine makes a plea to Ashley's friends.
I put out on Facebook that I haven't heard from her, can't get in contact with her. I asked her friends, acquaintances, anybody, if you have seen her, contact me.
Meanwhile, Christine uncovers a possible lead on Facebook.
Christine goes into her daughter's Facebook activity and is able to see that she's been communicating with a person named Jared Chance in recent days.
Jared Chance is an old friend of Ashley's.
6 years ago, they spent a lot of time together hanging out as friends. There might have been an attraction there, but Ashley was not that type because she was in that relationship with Moody. And then Jared disappeared. So she never heard from him in 6 years. During our trip to Detroit to go to the concert, she had said that he was really reaching out. They started talking more and more, and then Jared called her because he needed a ride home, and so she went and helped him. And so then he wanted to take her out as a thank you.
In the wake of her breakup with Moody, Ashley has just begun to dip her toes into the dating pool.
She was texting me about having feelings for Jared, just asking for advice on what do you think I should say? Should I say this or should I say that? And yeah, I just want to get it perfect.
Ashley leaves another friend a voicemail expressing her excitement about Jared.
Jared is so hard to read, but I know that if he was my boyfriend and he actually was in love with me, I know he would be amazing. I cannot wait to see him on Wednesday.
Wednesday, November 28th, the night Ashley vanished.
Once I found out that Ashley was with Jared, I asked if anybody had his phone number.
One of Ashley's friends does. So Christine calls Jared to see if he can help.
She asks him, "Do you know where my daughter is? Do you have any information?" And he said that they were actually together the previous night, but that she went home and that he has no idea what happened to her.
Jared said that Ashley and him had been to Mulligan's Bar in East Town, Grand Rapids. And then I told Christine, we need to go to Grand Rapids. We need to go see where she was, follow her footsteps.
Grand Rapids is about an hour north of Kalamazoo, where Ashley lives.
Grand Rapids is a college town. It's a huge city. It's the second largest city in the state of Michigan.
Ashley's moms arrive at Mulligan's on November 30th.
So I talked with the bartender at Mulligan's, and we were able to go look at the security footage. You could see Jared and Ashley wandering around the bar. She ordered a drink. She's smiling, she's laughing. She's being Ashley. I wanted to pull her off the screen and take her home.
But the footage doesn't show her leaving the bar. Despair and desperation start sinking in for Ashley's loved ones.
It was like time stood still, you know, in a sense, and you just had that pit in your stomach. You knew something was wrong.
And we just went, driving around Grand Rapids looking for Ashley. We walked down the railroad tracks. We poked around ponds, lakes.
There was nothing. It's almost like you think you're dreaming, but you're not dreaming. Everything was a wild goose chase.
30th, 2018. Christine Young has had no luck finding her missing daughter, Ashley. But she has discovered that Ashley was last seen at a bar with a friend named Jared Chance on the night she disappeared. She takes what she's learned to the Grand Rapids police.
Christine Young asked for the police department to help, but if it was Jared, we need evidence, you know. You can develop theories, but theories won't get you a search warrant. Theories won't get you an arrest warrant. You need evidence. You need facts.
Frustrated, Christine reaches out again to Jared. He previously told her that he and Ashley went their separate ways after going to the bar on November 28th. She begs him to share anything else he can remember.
And that's when he told me about Demetrius.
Jared says Ashley was talking to a guy he knows named Demetrius Taylor that night at the bar. The relentless mothers track him down.
When we got there, he's like, I don't know Ashley. I don't know your daughter at all. And he opened up his phone and showed the text messages where Jared said, hey, Ashley's mom's gonna call you, and you have to say that Ashley was just with you, and you guys were just together. And Christine was reading it, and she's like, no. Demetrius said, you can copy it, give it to the police, whatever you need to do. Even though we didn't know him, we kind of hit it off. And because he was compassionate, and was understanding what Christine was going through. And he said he has kids. He understands.
After that point, I think everybody kind of knew that we just didn't get the whole story from Jared.
It just became more and more plain that Jared was trying to stall.
I had always told her that I didn't think that he was good for her. I didn't think that he necessarily had the best intentions for her, or that he knew how to be a good man.
Christine and Dana decide to head to Jared's apartment to confront him face to face. That same afternoon, a resident of downtown Grand Rapids makes a shocking discovery.
I was living in Grand Rapids on Franklin Street. 2 apartments downstairs, single father, custody of my 12-year-old daughter. My girlfriend had been complaining about a bad smell in the apartment for, about a day and a half. And me, I'm thinking, it's dead mice in the walls or something. But the smell was definitely strong. My cat runs in the basement. So I had to go to retrieve my cat. So I opened the door so the light from the day could shine down into the basement so I could see. As I go down the stairs, I see the tarp on the floor. That's when I see blood. I make it to the top of the stairs at full speed. I'd yell at my girlfriend, call the cops, call the cops.
Our house been having a real bad smell lately. So I just went in the basement, opened the basement door, there's a tarp, and what looks like it could be blood leaking from it. And I want the police to come here ASAP right now and look at it.
Alright, so it's the lower level apartment?
Yes.
I'm not the smartest man in the world, but there's blood, there's trouble. I'm thinking I'm a father, like I have a daughter at home. Like, I need officers fast.
Please, sir, somebody right now, because I don't know what it is, but it looks like blood is leaking from it, and I'm not going to touch the tarp or anything like that.
GRPD showed up at that address not too long afterwards. Like most police agencies, they all have body cameras on now.
Okay. Okay. Where are we going? Share basement?
And so we're able to watch the officers go into the basement. And it's like watching a horror movie, because they're going through this darkened basement that's lit by flashlights. They look at the tarp and see something that they will never ever forget.
Everybody back out. Let's get in there. Everybody back out. Let's get in there.
On December 2nd, 2018, Grand Rapids police officers make a horrific discovery in the basement of an apartment building.
I'm standing in the driveway like, oh, this can't be. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is not real. This is not happening. The police asked me, can they search my house? Of course, please.
Among the officers who respond is the detective who Christine has asked for help in her search for Ashley.
By the time I got there, there were officers in front and back of the house, making sure that nobody went in or came out without us knowing it.
Okay, the tarp is laying on the stairs, about the last 3 stairs.
I then entered the house, went down into the basement where this tarp was found. So this tarp was quite large and it had a zipper on it. I unzipped the bag and we then discover the body of a woman with the arms and legs and head missing. I remember thinking, who are we dealing with here? You know, what kind of animal does this to a person?
Police have now discovered this horrendous scene, and they know that they have a body, but all of the identifying features have been removed. So they don't know who is dead, and they don't know who potentially killed them. There's multiple occupants in this multi-dwelling residence.
Police on the search warrant! Come to the door!
Who do you think they found living in the upstairs apartment?
What's your name? What's your last name? Your James?
Jared was secured in a police car and transported to our headquarters. It didn't take long to realize that this case was going to be different than most.
I see a lot of death, all methods, and this one, it stands out in my career as a horrific scene. I went up the stairs looking for the rest of the body. When I entered the second level apartment, there was a large brown stain on the kitchen floor. I look in the bathroom and noted there wasn't a shower curtain in the bathtub. I remember looking at one of the floor vents and I pulled the grate off, and then I saw cartridges, small caliber. A lot of different areas that we found tested positive for blood. Clearly, something bad happened and somebody tried to cover it up. As we made our way out of the apartment, back to the stairwell, we found a box about midway on the landing. So I start to open the box, and I see a black trash bag. I opened the bag, and there were human limbs inside that bag. There are 2 legs, and there are 2 arms, and there are no hands, and there are no feet.
At that very moment, Ashley's family is headed to Jared's to confront him for sending them on a wild goose chase with Demetrius Taylor. They have no idea that it is now a crime scene.
We pulled up at 6 o'clock and the yellow tape was around Jared's house. I was screaming at the officer that was stopping us from going any further. And I'm telling him, my stepdaughter's up there. My stepdaughter was with Jared. And he said, ma'am, I can't tell you anything. And I said, well, her mom's right over there. And the only thing he could say is, go tell mom not to leave.
And I'm like, no, it can't be. It's not Ashley. It's not.
I didn't want to believe it. The police explained that they were doing DNA because it was that bad. They couldn't recognize her.
Without the confirmation from DNA, we certainly couldn't say these remains belong to Ashley. But it was pretty clear to everybody involved that the remains were very likely to be, unfortunately, Ashley's. I just have to prove it.
Police now have the one person who can explain the gruesome scene in their custody.
So Jared was kept in our county jail, but the investigation doesn't stop. We found 2 spent .22 casings in the apartment, which led me to believe that this was a shooting. We'd also found out that Jared Chance did have a .22 caliber pistol that was now missing. So at this point, we have a body found in Jared Chance's house. At the same time, we have Jared Chance present in the house. We certainly would like to hear from Jared what happened.
Grand Rapids police have discovered female remains in the building where Jared Chance lives. They need Jared to tell them if this is Ashley Young.
Jared Chance was taken into custody and transported to our headquarters. So I asked Detective Fan and Detective Bray to attempt an interview with him.
Can you hang tight just for a sec? We'll get your cuffs up, okay? All right.
Want me to take them off, the cuffs? Or?
Yeah, you gonna be decent with us? All right.
Initially, Jared was somewhat talkative.
You guys stay busy, don't you?
Huh?
You guys stay busy, don't you?
Pretty much.
He wasn't rude. Almost seemed like it was just another day. Didn't really ask why he was there.
Thank you.
Hi, Jared.
My dad just recommended me to just ask for the advice of an attorney, and because I don't really know what the hell's going on, so I don't want to like sit here and talk about that may incriminate me or whatever in any kind of way, because I don't know what's going on. So I just don't want to say nothing right now.
He exercised his right to counsel at that point and didn't tell us anything.
So on the evening of December 2nd, Jared is charged with the mutilation of a body and concealing a crime.
Our next step in our investigation is to utilize, every avenue we have for a timeline. We had phone records, placing them together, 28th into the 29th, and then seems the activity stopped, and her phone, in essence, just disappeared. But Ashley had been seen at a pub with Jared Chance here in the city.
By the time we found out that they were at Mulligan's, that video is gone. Local businesses don't keep all their video forever. But because of Christine's doggedness, she had already seen the video.
Hoping for additional evidence to solidify the case against Jared, investigators comb through more footage from businesses near Mulligan's.
So we did obtain video from a local business called the Pita House. And it's dated November 29th, and it's approximately 1:30 in the morning. It shows Jared walking in front of the business. There he goes right now, just kind of strolling along. And then, a few seconds later, that's Ashley there. And once again, we see Jared walk into screen, and then eventually Ashley joins him.
We know clearly from the video that Ashley is still alive on the early morning hours of the 29th. It was crucial in trying to pinpoint what her final moments were. We also found really crucial video at a party store, Miss Tracy's, which was in essence right across the street from Jared's house. Inside the store, we see Jared Chance purchasing alcohol and ammonia, a cleaning product. We suspected that some extensive cleaning had been attempted in the apartment, and then we just so happened to have Jared buying cleaning supplies that day.
And then on one of the videos, we see that he's approaching, and we see him put something into the garbage bin right outside the front of the business. And of course, that's of interest to us.
And that led us to then the dumpster behind the party store, which happened to have Ashley's purse in it.
Based on the evidence, we were fairly confident that Jared killed Ashley in the wee hours of the 29th.
But this theory remains speculation until authorities can officially confirm the body parts found belong to Ashley.
waiting for the DNA test was one of the worst times of my life.
I didn't want to believe, and neither did Chris. If this isn't her, then she's still out there somewhere. She's missing. So we're still looking.
Ultimately, they came back a few days later and said that all of the evidence that had any sort of blood tissue on it belonged to Ashley Young. So we knew that definitively then that Ashley Young had died.
I never thought anyone could bring that much pain to so many people. I never heard, never thought about murder.
You always see it on TV.
And it's never going to happen to us. But it does. I just want to know where the rest of Ashley is. I want to bring her home.
Investigators are also determined to find the rest of Ashley's body to help them build a stronger case against Jared. They hope his cell phone data might lead them to her.
Using cell phone records, we knew that Jared had made his way out to Holland, which is a little city just west of Grand Rapids. And that's where Jared's parents live.
Our interest in the parents was they were with Jared on the same day that we made the discovery of the body. The fact that Jared wasn't talking to us, we hoped maybe the parents would lead us, to some of the answers that we were looking for. And so we go and take a trip to Holland. James Chance, Jared's father, answered the door. I explained to him that we had a search warrant, that this was non-negotiable, that his house was going to be searched. I spent the next several hours with the Chance family while our detectives and other officers and forensic techs processed and searched their house. His father was a retired police officer, and he made a comment about, I'm glad I'm not investigating this case, that this is a tough case. And I started thinking, how do you know it's a tough case? What do you know about this?
December 5th, 2018. Investigators are at Jared Chance's family home in Holland, Michigan. They want to know if his parents have any information about Ashley Young's murder.
But they opted not to speak about specifics without consulting an attorney.
While Jared's parents are tight-lipped, the scene inside their home speaks volumes.
A sawzall was found in that house. There was tissue observed on the blade.
In the Honda CR-V, which was in the garage, we found a small trace of blood.
They also located a bloody shower curtain that also was connected to Jared's apartment in Grand Rapids.
The evidence throughout the home convinces investigators that Jared's parents helped him cover up his crimes.
It was a shocking revelation for all of us.
Within 3 to 4 hours, Jared Chance is charged with murder, and his parents are charged with being accessories after the fact in the mutilation of a body.
We learned that they drove to Grand Rapids on Saturday, December 1st. Jared loaded some boxes into their Honda. Jared got in the car, and they proceeded then to return to Holland. One of the main goals is trying to locate Ashley's head, hands, and feet. I appealed to them as parents, trying to get them to consider how Ashley's family was feeling. And essentially I got very little. Jared seemed to be a person prone to violence and unpredictable.
He seemed to be a troubled young man that had a lot of various problems and couldn't hold a job, didn't have very close connections to friends and family.
Ashley wants to fix people, And I think that that's what she saw in Jared. She was the one person who actually wanted to believe in him and push him to do better.
Ashley believed there's always good in everyone. But what she didn't realize is there's not always good in everyone.
What changed? What flipped? From the minute that they were at that bar and having the night that they had to what he did to her in a basement.
The burning question, what happened in the final moments between Ashley and Jared, remains pure speculation.
I think he made a pass at her. That was my first instinct. And she rejected him. And then I think he killed her.
The trial begins today for a man accused of murdering and dismembering a Kalamazoo County woman.
Whether it was showing these horrific photos to the jury, listening to the forensic techs who had to open up this box and find Ashley's limbs, throughout the entire process, Jared showed zero emotion the entire time.
Now the trial is in the hands of the jury.
The defendant is, under count 1, guilty of second-degree murder. Under count 2, guilty of tampering with evidence.
Ultimately, the jury convicted Jared Chance of second-degree murder, tampering with evidence, of mutilating a body, of failure to report a death. Every single charge that was before them, they convicted him of.
Jared Chance is sentenced to 100 to 200 years. When the sentencing was handed down, her mother got in front of this entire courtroom.
I cry 7 days a week. 7! Jared Chance, I hate you. I want to rip you limb from limb.
Jared's parents now must face justice.
Barbara Chance decides to take a plea, and she actually only serves 45 days in jail. But the father, James, decides to take it to trial. James Chance is acquitted of perjury, but is convicted of an accessory after the fact. So he gets a year of probation, including 1 month of jail.
If they would tell us where the rest of Ashley is, we could bring her home. They owe that to her family. They owe that to her friends.
Unfortunately, I don't believe that they ever will. I don't think they'll give us that.
Ed at her home in Middlesbrough.
I was absolutely terrified, thinking, what if somebody got in my house?
It felt like there was a serial killer at large and you wondered if they were going to do it again.
When a successful pharmacist is found murdered, her devastated husband goes into shock.
No, Jess, come on, baby, wake up. Baby, wake up.
And a community is torn apart.
You won't believe, obviously, what we went through and the level of betrayal there. It was a shock.
In the northeast of England lies one of Middlesbrough's most attractive areas, Linthorpe.
It's quite an affluent area. Big houses, quite leafy, long driveways, nice cars on the drive, professional people live there.
You know, it's a family area, it's very friendly. Best part about it is the neighbours, you know, we all get on and good community. It's very safe, yeah. Very safe.
In the heart of the community were a couple named Jessica and Mitesh, who owned a pharmacy in the village.
We've got a chemist here actually on our doorstep. It's a husband and wife team, so they work together. The couple are really friendly people, helpful. Whatever you need, they're always there for you to help you out. You know, any advice that you need, they're always there.
Both Jessica and Mitesh were from large Hindu families in West Yorkshire.
We grew up in a joint family, so there was 12 of us in my household.
Jessica was the first child, a happy, calm child to what I remember. She was a good child, never any bother.
Very fond memories of growing up with Jess because we were only probably about 18 months apart in age, so quite close together. She was always fun to be around because she was always happy no matter what, always had a smile on her face.
Jessica had big plans for her future and went to study at Manchester University.
Jessica always said that she wanted to be a pharmacist. She always wanted to help people. That was her thing.
It was at university that Jessica met Mitesh, and the pair quickly struck up a relationship together.
I think Jessica's mum was ill around the time that they got together, and Mitesh was support for Jessica and would, you know, say all the right things, buy her presents, teddy bears, things like that.
He was constantly showering her with gifts. I think she must have had like 50 plus Me to You teddy bears in her collection because we shared a room. They were like dotted all over the room. And she was just really happy. I got privy to a lot of their evening conversations at bedtime. Mitesh and Jessica would often be on the phone, and because we were sharing a room, it would be a case of her saying to him, "You put the phone down," and he'd be like, "No, you put the phone down."
They seemed just like a happy couple, or a happy young uni couple.
Jessica's mother sadly passed away, but Mitesh helped her through this difficult time, and the couple soon mapped out their future together, despite some initial resistance.
Initially, when Jessica approached Dad about getting married, he wasn't so ecstatic about it. He didn't think they were a suitable match for Jessica, but Jessica persisted. She insisted that she loved him, and vice versa.
She wouldn't take a no. So, of course, obviously, in this day and age, we know that we can't force our child. And when she says that, "No, Dad, if I marry, it's him that I'm going to marry." But if that's the man she wants to marry, then that be it then.
In July 2009, the couple threw a big Indian wedding.
The marriage took place here in my garden. It was the first wedding within the Patel or the Hindu community that had 500 or 600 people.
Newly married, the couple set their sights on a fresh start and set up home among the village community of Linthorpe.
They got a lease on Roman Road Pharmacy and then bought a house on the avenue. A lovely big house which needed work doing, so they spent time renovating it and building up their pharmacy, you know, becoming well-known people in the community.
Having both a successful business and a new home in place, there was just one thing missing from their perfect life.
Jessica wanted to be a mother. She's always had a very motherly and a maternal instinct. Being the oldest sibling out of all 6 of us as well, she was always that much more maternal. And she wanted children of her own. I think it's something they'd thought about for years.
Apparently the couple struggled to fall pregnant, so started undergoing a course of IVF treatment, which I can only assume is a really grueling process, and that shows how much they must really wanted a child.
She expressed to me that it wasn't working naturally and that they were going to be starting IVF. All in all, Jessica went through 3 rounds of IVF that were unsuccessful. Each time she would ring me and she would say it didn't work, and she would be heartbroken that it hadn't worked, and I think the emotional distress of it all was just too much. She'd just come back off holiday and we were talking in the evening, and she was just telling me about the IVF and this 4th round. She was so happy because this round was a positive round. She said that it looks like it's going really well. They managed to freeze 3 embryos, and in June, so within a matter of weeks, she was due to have them implanted, and she was so positive they were going to work this time. The happiness was in her. I can't even describe how happy she was, because that dream of becoming a mother was just about to materialize for her.
But just weeks before Jessica's dream of motherhood could be realized, everything changed.
It's emergency. I think we've been burgled and my wife's been attacked. I've just come home and the house is ransacked and she's just on the floor. She's got duct tape all over her and she's like unconscious.
Right, you said is your wife breathing? Can you feel a pulse?
I can't feel anything. Her hands are really cold. She's got like blood on her nose and stuff dripping out onto the floor. Please, can you send someone quickly?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
Okay, listen. The police are outside. Can you let the police officer in?
It's Jessica.
I'll leave it with you, okay?
Police and paramedics rush into the house and find Jessica in the living room. They try resuscitating her, but she is pronounced dead at the scene.
All we knew was that there'd been a murder, her husband had came home from work and found her.
Has somebody broken into their home? And is it a burglary gone wrong? It was just utter shock that, you know, anything like this could have happened.
In the picturesque village of Linthorpe, the community is waking up, reeling at news of a murder. But the previous morning, May 14th, started out like any other day in the Patel household.
Jessica and Mitesh had been in the pharmacy working. Jessica's dad popped into the pharmacy to speak to them both.
I can see that smile on the day I walked in, which would have been just after 10 o'clock. And I can still see her far back because it was a sort of a deep pharmacy. So I said, I'll be down next week. And she goes, okay, Dad, I'll see you next week. Of course, I did hug her. And I couldn't believe that I would never see her again.
Mitesh worked the early shift, leaving the pharmacy to spend the afternoon at the gym.
Jessica went home. Mitesh pops back to the pharmacy, goes to the local pizza shop to pick up a pizza for the pair of them, texts his wife to say he was getting the pizza, he'd be home shortly.
He came from the chemist roughly around about 7:30. He ordered his pizza and then he left. We were quite busy at the time, so it must have been about 20 minutes, half an hour. He'd come back. I gave him his pizza. I shook his hand like normal and he left with the pizza.
Mitesh then goes home and makes the awful discovery.
It's emergency.
I think we've been burgled and my wife's been attacked. I've just come home and the house is ransacked and she's just on the floor. She's got duct tape all over her and she's like unconscious. Her hands are really cold. Please, can you send someone quickly?
Yeah, I am.
No, Jess, come on, baby, wake up. Baby, wake up.
Cleveland police respond immediately and preserve the crime scene.
We have in the investigation what we call the golden hour. The first hour is critical because the evidence is contained in the scene and it's nearby. You seal the scene totally and nobody, absolutely nobody, including the husband, go back indoors. Once that's happened, you'll talk to the witness and get the story of events.
News of the attack soon spreads.
I just came back from a friend's house. I couldn't get into the road. Loads of armed police, 2 ambulances. It was like a movie, like something you'd see out of a movie. To be honest, it was absolutely horrendous.
Police have launched a murder investigation after a woman was found dead at her home in Middlesbrough. Officers were called to a house on the avenue in Linthorpe at 8:20 on Monday evening. 34-year-old Jessica Patel, originally from the Leeds area, was found with serious injuries at an address in Linthorpe and was pronounced dead at the scene. Detectives are appealing to anyone who may have seen...
I got a call from my younger sister and she just said to me that something's happened in Middlesbrough. So I asked her, I was like, is everything okay? She says, I don't know. Dad's gone. We're just going to wait and see when Dad gets there what he says. So I said, okay. I was, keep me updated. But when I woke up, I saw my husband sat at the end of our bed. I sort of sat up and I looked at him. And when I looked at him, I thought something's not right. And he turned around to me and he just said to me, I've got no easy way to say this to you, but Jess passed away last night. I think those words in that instant hit me like a ton of bricks. My heart started racing a lot like it's racing now. Just thinking of that moment. I didn't want to believe him. That can't be true. How could this just suddenly have happened? I remember calling Dad and Dad's confirming that it was true. Something had happened, a burglar had got in and Jessica had been harmed in the process and that she'd been killed.
After receiving the devastating news, Jessica's family immediately rally round and make their way to the family home to support her husband, Mitesh.
I walked into their main living room where Mitesh was sat on the sofa, and I went straight over to him, sat down next to him, and he buried his head into my shoulder and was crying. I consoled him and just hugged him and told him that no matter what, we were there to support him. I myself was crying. The whole room, to be honest, was crying. Everyone was upset.
News of Jessica's murder sends shockwaves through the village.
I can't really know that. How can a murder happen in this beautiful place? It's a Linthorpe village area. Everyone's friendly. And, all of a sudden you actually hear that she's been killed. And you think, how can somebody do that, especially to a chemist, a pharmacist person who's actually, there to help you.
How it happened to beautiful Jessica, and she was so lovely, and you can't even imagine how someone can kill her. It's a fear. It's a lot. No words really.
It felt like there was a serial killer at large and you wondered if they were going to do it again.
With such a big story breaking in the close-knit village community, local journalist Felicity Collinson is hot on the case from the off.
I went out to the scene and the street was just really quiet. It was quite like an eerie quietness that morning. Cordon had now been moved to just around the house. It was just covering the driveway. There was forensics in white suits walking in and out of the house, carrying cases in and brown envelopes, evidence bags. There was CSI vans, uniformed police officers on guard. I started to knock on neighbours' doors to try and find out what had happened.
With Mitesh too distraught to speak, it was left to neighbours to speculate what had happened. Had someone targeted this young, successful couple out of jealousy?
A lot of people have been saying that there's been a burglary in the house.
Obviously, they look like a wealthy couple because they have quite a wealthy house, and obviously having the pharmacy and everything. Someone who knew them, possibly, had, took a chance to burgle them, maybe thought she had money, maybe jewellery, and that's where it was, and she was just in the wrong place, the wrong time.
We check our doors, even windows, and make sure, put alarm on, put everything on to go out, and we don't let our kids go.
I was absolutely terrified, thinking, what if somebody got in my house? What if that happened to me? I've got children. I was absolutely terrified.
Was it somebody who thought that the couple had money with them having the pharmacy? Did they have a safe in there where they kept the take-ins? Could somebody have broken in for that? Or was it somebody who needed or wanted drugs and believed that they may have kept drugs in the house? Or was it a big mistake that they'd got the wrong house?
While a grieving Mitesh stays with the family, police take a closer look at the crime scene. And one thing jumps out immediately. There's no sign of a forced entry. Meaning one thing, Jessica knew her attacker.
If there's no sign of forced entry, it looks like they've got in through an open door. which suggests that the victim would know them and allow them in. Everybody is a suspect till they're eliminated, without exception. So what we've now got to try and do is eliminate those who couldn't have been there at the time.
With no sign of a break-in, everyone known to Jessica is under suspicion. Could husband Mitesh offer clues as to who his wife may have let in the house?
The neighbour said she opens the door far too easily, far too quickly.
Neighbours saying about her being very nice, very trusting, too trusting, would allow anybody in the house without checking their identity. And therefore we'd have to look at that, because if there's no forced entry, we will be worried about somebody who's just been let in the house. Does she have a relationship with another man or another person?
Police need to identify a timeline of events in order to pinpoint when the killer gained access to the house. So they turn to Mitesh for help.
You'll want to know where he was, what time he went, because the timeline of when he left and when he came home is significant, because you need to be looking at perhaps other houses and CCTVs.
Mitesh explains to police that after going to the gym, he had gone out to get pizza at his usual takeaway, before returning home to discover his wife's body.
The husband of the victim seemed like he was a pleasant, kind of like quiet type of guy, wasn't he? He'd just do his work. He'd come, he'd order his food, he'd, go home like everybody else.
The pizza parlour's CCTV helps police create an exact timeline of the evening and when Jessica was left alone.
The police came in to the shop and kind of like asked for the camera footage of the husband of the victim, and basically kind of explained what was going on in a small way. They didn't really tell us exactly what was going on, but they just kind of gave us a clue to why they need, and what's happened.
He took my camera, CCTV camera, he took it from here. He said, I want to see what's going to happen in here, like when he came, when he go out, that's it.
With Mitesh's movements that evening clear, police are still no closer to establishing who had gained access to their home. But post-mortem results help police identify the cause of death. Could this lead to clues as to her attacker?
It's found that she died from pressure to her neck. There was also a suggestion that from marks to Jessica's neck that a ligature of some sort had been used.
And in asphyxiation, of course, you've got to look at was something placed over a mouth, over a nose? Was there some other way of stopping the oxygen getting to her? All those sorts of things you expect the examiner to tell you about.
Despite this crucial information, no murder weapon is found at the scene. 3 days into the investigation, and police are no closer to a motive or a suspect.
Police hadn't arrested anybody. I know personally I felt a bit of worry for the people living in that street. I would have felt worried.
But on the 17th of May 2018, things take a dramatic turn.
A man has been arrested in connection with the murder of a woman in Middlesbrough.
Everyone was talking about it, that they've caught somebody.
When we find out who the police have arrested, it's just tragic. Just a tragedy.
In the pretty village of Linthorpe, the close-knit community has been coming to terms with the murder of local pharmacist Jessica Patel. In the days since, Jessica's family rally around a grieving Mitesh.
On Thursday morning, we proceeded to Mitesh's house again, just to lend support. We spent the morning there, but then Dad received a call from the liaison officers asking us if we could return home because they needed to speak with us.
They didn't really tell me what it was for, but something related, which I thought they may want some more statements. We come home, we sat in that room, and there's the police, the family liaison officers, and they said, Mr. Patel, we have to tell you this. It's Mitesh. And we're arresting him. And I says, hang on, what did you say? And they repeated it, where I says, look, have you got it right? And they said yes. They assured me that it's him, and as we speak, we're arresting him.
Having just spent the morning comforting Mitesh, his arrest comes as a shock to Jessica's family.
You can't help but think that why would he do it? You know, what reason could he possibly have for having to murder Jessica? At the same time, you're like, have you got the right person? Because if you haven't, that person's getting away.
Yesterday afternoon, police arrested a 37-year-old man in the West Yorkshire police area on suspicion of murder following the death of 34-year-old Jessica Patel in Middlesbrough on Monday. The man remains in police custody.
News of Mitesh's arrest becomes public and locals react in horror. How could this loving husband and pillar of the community have anything to do with such a brutal killing?
It was a bit of a shock, to be honest with you, because we thought of them as, you know, good people, normal people. We didn't think anything was going on in their home.
We were all just so shocked, gobsmacked, really. We're still thinking, is this really a husband who's been, you know, arrested for her murder? You know, he's a pharmacist, she's a pharmacist. You just don't expect this at all.
So what had led to the arrest of Jessica's seemingly besotted husband? The man she'd been looking forward to starting a family with.
The police are still searching the house, you know, for evidence and clues. And then there's a breakthrough.
So senior crime officers find a hard drive wrapped in clothing underneath the mattress. It has a serial number on it which relates to the CCTV in the house.
When police had previously spoken to Mitesh, there had been no mention of this CCTV. Surely the first thing that you would do, or one of the first things you would do if your wife had been murdered, is think, oh, we've got CCTV. The footage of the killer will be on our CCTV. But there was no mention of this at all from Mitesh.
Police examined the CCTV footage from the hard drive.
It shows that it was switched off or taken or removed 6 minutes before he called the police for the 999 call.
Police rewind the footage to look for any clues earlier in the day. But what they find shocks them. The CCTV shows that at 3:30 p.m, Mitesh returned home from the gym, but never left to get pizza before Jessica came home from work at 7 p.m. Instead, Mitesh doesn't leave the house till 7:42 p.m. and then returns home with the pizza at 8:15 p.m. 4 minutes later, the camera is switched off.
This is a crucial piece of evidence because it doesn't show any other person entering or leaving the house other than Jessica and Mitesh. You know, there's no other, you know, intruder or person sneaking around.
Mitesh calls police at 8:24 p.m. to report finding his wife dead. With no sign of anyone else coming to the house, police hone in on their now #1 suspect.
So now he becomes the prime suspect. We now need to look at what's the motive. So you'll extend the investigation and you'll also start looking now at all his personal life and personal technology he has. Has he got an app on his phone? What does his computer say?
And the family computer drops a bombshell discovery.
There was searches on his computer, you know, how to kill my wife.
His searches included employing overdoses of insulin, employing perhaps strangulation.
We've also got searches on his laptop and on his phone about the fact that he will and £2 million in insurance payouts from his wife's death.
Have police finally uncovered a motive for Jessica's murder?
These were various policies that were taken out at various times. It's interesting to note that the first policy was taken out shortly after Mitesh Patel had begun in 2013 to investigate ways to kill.
But the biggest breakthrough comes when police look at Mitesh's mobile phone, which recorded his heart rate and activity.
Mitesh Patel was not to know that he had this particular app activated on his phone. It tracks not only his steps, but also if he's done any staircases.
The app reveals to detectives that immediately after Mitesh had arrived back at the house, at a time when he said he discovered Jessica's body, he had also gone upstairs for 4 minutes before calling 999.
There was no reason, no innocent reason, for him to have done that if he was coming home to find his wife's body on the floor, just to the right of the front door.
So what had gone on that fateful day? And what was the truth behind their seemingly loving relationship?
The 14th of May seemed to have begun like most other days. It's right that Mitesh went to work early that morning. Jessica got into work herself an hour or two later. The day continued as other days. Because he'd worked the morning shift, Mitesh Patel left work. He was due to go to the gym at lunchtime, and then he went home. He spent the rest of the afternoon in the family home, and he was there when Jessica got home from work. Of course, he was to lie to the police about that. But he was there when she got home from work, shortly after 7.
Detectives established Jessica was killed soon after arriving home. And before Mitesh left the house to get pizza 42 minutes later.
After he'd murdered his wife, he left the house. He then went to the pizza parlor just down the road and ordered a takeaway.
He looked like he was on edge or there was something wrong with him, but we didn't take any notice.
He returned to the family home. He's got to have dismantled the CCTV footage, gone upstairs, hidden it, then come downstairs and then made the call.
It's emergency.
I think we've been burgled and my wife's been attacked.
Confident they have their man, Cleveland police make the decision to charge Mitesh for the murder of Jessica.
To be honest with you, after all that and how I was feeling, and for this to happen, you won't believe, obviously, what we went through.
Having portrayed himself as the devoted husband, running a successful business with his wife and planning to start a family together, the truth behind this perfectly cultured facade was starting to unravel.
When Jessica got married to Mitesh, I think she thought that she was going to have this lovely life with this great guy who'd bought her presents and supported her through her mother's illness. But then the cracks started to show early on in the marriage.
One of the things that she found difficult was that there was not a great deal, if any, sexual activity between her and her husband.
Desperate to start a family, Jessica sought IVF treatment as an alternative way to have children. But this took a destructive toll on her well-being and the couple's relationship.
She was injecting herself in the stomach with steroids and all sorts. And at the time, she ended up on antidepressants. She became such an anxious person. Mitesh would quite often blackmail her by telling her that he would leave her and their relationship would be over if she was unwilling to carry on with going through the rounds of IVF. And I think for her, that relationship falling apart would mean her dreams falling apart.
Soon enough, Mitesh's dark side was to reveal itself.
Not long after they were married, Jessica's grandfather gets ill. And in his final days, she wants to obviously spend time with her family and her grandfather. Mitesh wouldn't let her do this. And there's reports that in the car one day, she's sort of like trying to put her case for wanting to go and see her grandfather. And he doesn't want her to. And he apparently hits her. She told a family member that he put his hands around her neck and that it hurt. A pharmacy worker had seen Jessica limping, and apparently Mitesh had thrown a mobile phone at her.
And as time went on, she became not just less bubbly, but more withdrawn and even losing weight. And we all came to understand that which Jessica's family suspected, that she was being controlled and kept apart from her own blood family.
But what could have led this once happy marriage to end in tragedy? Why did Mitesh want to keep Jessica apart from her family? And why did he end her life in such a violent way? 37-year-old pharmacist Mitesh Patel has been charged with the murder of his wife Jessica in their home in the village of Linthorpe. Having pleaded not guilty, the case is sent for trial.
To be honest, we can't believe that he had the audacity to plead not guilty when there was all of this evidence against him. It was just bizarre that he would even try to, get off with this.
In December 2018, the trial begins at Teesside Crown Court.
Well, in my life, I had never gone to a court before, never ever been in a court. We knew it was coming. To be honest with you, I didn't want to be there.
For the first time since his arrest, Jessica's family comes face to face with her alleged killer.
There was a couple of times that he had the opportunity to make eye contact with the family. There was clearly no compassion in him for the fact that he had lost his wife so horrendously. He didn't at any point scream his innocence. I don't think I could ever recall him saying, "It wasn't me, it was somebody else."
The prosecution reveals how Mitesh first appeared to police.
When he was first seen by the police, it was noticed that he had scratch marks down his neck. He was in due course to explain those away as having been as a result of his session at the gym that lunchtime. Well, that was clearly not the case. Further work by the forensic scientists were to reveal that underneath the fingertips of Jessica Patel was his DNA, particularly on the right hand, and she was right-handed. So the picture began to be built up of a struggle in which Jess had fought with her attacker, and clearly that attacker was her husband, whom she had scratched down the front of his neck.
Police have never revealed what they believe to have been the murder weapon until now.
It's found that she died from pressure to her neck. At the scene in the house was a Tesco carrier bag, and tests showed that the inside of the bag had traces of Jessica's saliva and blood in there. There was also suggestion that from marks to Jessica's neck that a ligature of some sort had been used. So it was surmised that the Tesco carry bag had been used to suffocate Jessica.
After suffocating her, the court is told Mitesh bound her with duct tape. Crucially for the prosecution case, a reel of duct tape was discovered in the pharmacy, with police believing Mitesh hid it after going to order pizza on the night of the murder.
The jury were given both pieces to look at. They were photographed, and once the tape had been flattened, it was the clearest possible fit, just like a jigsaw puzzle. It was unique.
I was present at the court every single day. I think 95% of what came out in that courtroom we were unprepared for. There was only 5% of that we went in knowing, and that 95% was devastating. To learn what Jessica had gone through, how she had died, what he had subjected her to all those years, it was just devastating.
But the biggest shock was yet to reveal itself in the courtroom. Far from the perfect life they had portrayed to the world, it seems Jessica was harboring a secret about her husband.
Jessica found evidence on her husband's phone of the gay flings he was having and of pornography. He insisted it's banter. He insisted he loved her more than anyone. And if she wanted, he would give up seeing anyone else. He said all he wanted was her and to have their baby.
He had extramarital affairs with men. He was a regular user of the gay app Grindr. He was caught in clinches with another man in the pharmacy, which was recorded on the pharmacy tapes.
But it soon became clear to the courtroom that Mitesh had already found another love abroad.
Messages were found on his phone from a lover in Australia who he wanted to set up another life with.
In 2011 December, on the Grindr app, he met a guy called Patel.
So was Mitesh's dreams for a new life the motive behind the callous murder?
Mitesh cunningly plotted to remove Jessica from the equation. He basically wanted Jessica out of the way so that he could move on and start this new life in Australia with his apparent soulmate.
But not only did Mitesh have a secret lover who he planned to move to Australia to be with, he had an even bigger plan. Mitesh wanted to bring up a child with his new lover. The child he should have been bringing up with Jessica from the frozen IVF embryo.
I still can't believe that somebody could go down to that sort of level. He wanted to take this embryo with him to Australia. That was his plans.
After a grueling 12-day trial at Teesside Crown Court, the jury returns its verdict. Mitesh is found guilty of Jessica Patel's murder. He is sentenced to 30 years in prison.
When the judge passed the sentence of 30 years, again, his expression, I watched him the whole time, his expression was blank. Nothing at all. And he was gone in an instant, taken away in an instant.
With Mitesh now behind bars, Jessica's family are slowly coming to terms with life without her.
She was a fantastic older sister to the rest of us. I'm always going to have so many fond memories of growing up with Jess. It's just so unfortunate now that I have another memory that's so tainted. I always can't help but picture her lying there on that floor in that living room, fighting for her life. And I always think of that moment because I can only think that she must have thought of us in that moment, knowing that her life was fleeing away from her, and how desperately she must have thought, someone save me, knowing it was her husband that was doing this to her. I can't shake that moment from my head at all. It's just there forever to stay. I wish it would go away, but it just doesn't.
I want to be strong, and I want to be living the way I used to, even though I know that it's not possible, but I want to be strong. This is the worst thing that could happen on this planet, and it's happened to me and to this family. I do not want this to happen to nobody.
Even to this day, every day, and every time I think of her, there's a part of me that feels so much guilt inside of me that I couldn't do anything to affect a change. I didn't notice what was going on, but obviously there's no going back. There's no changing or undoing what's happened. But you've still got to live every day with that guilt inside of you and somehow reason with it as well.